Welcome back to the Achieve Your Apex podcast. Thanks for being someone who's joining me for the conversations as we go through my best selling book, Achieve Your Apex, and get to go even deeper into some of the stories, some of the lessons, some of the things that are out there. Now, I appreciate that you're here listening. I know there's someone else that should be listening too. I don't know who they are. You know who they are. Do me a favor, share this episode today. When you get to the end of it, be like, I know who needs to hear this because they love squirrels. What? Just stick with me, you'll understand. Or maybe they need to understand the difference between change and adapting. Because that's what we're talking about here is we're in chapter 10 of the book and we're focused on adapt. Actually, adapt or die. It's not the title of the chapter, yet it's something we all need to remember. Now, we're going to talk about, as I said, change and adaptation and understand the difference between them. And I want to start with telling you a story about Bruce the squirrel. That's right. Now, I don't know what his name really was. We never got the conversation. We never got down to asking him what his name was. Nita and I named him Bruce. Now, why do we name him Bruce? Because every time we looked out our kitchen window at our Johns Creek home in Georgia, he was hanging upside down like a bat. So it just made us think he must be Batman. We'll name him Bruce, which is why his chipmunk friend, who shows up later in the story, got the name Robin. Now, Bruce wanted food. We wanted a bird feeder because why not? We were in all these trees, lots of birds. We wanted to enjoy the opportunity. Now, we purchased a squirrel proof bird feeder, which did us no good because Bruce learned to adapt. You see, when we hung the bird feeder the first time, Bruce would jump on it and it would lock. It was squirrel proof. It was supposed to lock. So he couldn't get at the snacks. And what he did was he ended up adapting to a point that we would find him upside down like a bat, hanging on a branch, able to get all the seeds that were laying there on the bird feeder and enjoying himself. It was amazing the adaptation we saw from him. Now, we ended up getting him his own squirrel feeder, and we moved the bird feeder and got a different kind of bird feeder that was even more squirrel proof, or so we believed. We offered Bruce a change, and that is, here's your own feeder. It's got stuff for you. And Bruce said, no, I want the stuff in the bird feeder. And he adapted again. And this time, amazingly, he got his partner, Robin, the chipmunk, to help. And what they would do was the chipmunk climbed up the tree, ran out on the branch, and jumped onto the bird feeder, and seed would spill while it went into its locking mode. Then the chipmunk would come down, and Bruce was waiting at the bottom, and they had all the bird feed that had fallen. They adapted to the challenge that was put before them. And these guys were not even apex predators. They're a squirrel and a chipmunk. I'll tell you another story about a squirrel who didn't make it in our backyard, also in the book, Achieve Your Apex. Look, I want you to understand change means make something different. And we'll talk about some examples of change. It's a concept that involves altering, modifying, transforming, just changing something from its current state. It can be deliberate. You can mean to have done it. It can be involuntary. Something could have happened that forced change. And this is where change shows up more often than not, because sadly, percentages of people out there don't want change. And because they don't want change, we find ourselves in a position that change is usually thrust upon us and gets a bad rap. Okay. Adaptation, on the other hand, okay, means to adjust or to modify in response to something specific or to a need. Okay. It's a nuanced process, adaptation, that involves not just making something different, it involves making the right difference to thrive in your specific situation. Okay. Adaptation is finding ways to succeed despite challenges from your environment situation that you're in. So what am I talking about? Let me give you two examples. One you'll definitely get, and the other one I'm absolutely living at the moment. So the first one is change. Let's look at a change. And maybe you decided to switch careers from, oh, I don't know, marketing to computer development. I don't know. From real estate to lending, right? To X to Y, whatever that is. It's a significant change that requires new skills to be brought upon you, right? It involves you learning standards. It involves you to change and adapt, the adaptation part, right? To a new environment because it's a new job. That's change. Adaptation, maybe in that new role, whatever it was, software development, a lender, something, who knows, right? You find that the culture of the company you've joined is different than what you're used to. Maybe you need to adjust or adapt your communication style because maybe there's a lot more text going on, or maybe there's a lot more instant messaging internally going on, or maybe more things are on email because they need to be documented exactly and it needs to be in written form like that. Maybe you need to adapt your work habits because of the environment and the culture you've walked into. Maybe you need to change how you collaborate with people because it's a much more collaborative job you have. Who knows? But you are adapting. Those aren't changes, those are adaptations, things that give you a difference by modifying to a specific circumstance to get success and in your new changed environment that's provided. Another one, and the one I'm living right now, change. You move to a new city. I'm doing it. There's nothing on my wall, right? There isn't even a bookcase. You are literally propped on yoga blocks right now so that I can be talking with you. Okay? Change is moving to a new city, changing my environment, changing my living situation, changing my social circles, changing my daily routines. Things change. They are thrust upon you. Adaptation is now that I moved, well, I got yoga blocks. I adapted to get my laptop where I needed it to be able to record for you, right? I've adapted by finding new favorite places to go for dinner when I need, or new favorite coffee shop, or I've adapted to figuring out how I work out in this environment as opposed to the environment that I left. I had to make adaptations that came along with the change of the move. Now, there are benefits of adapting over changing. Change sometimes is necessary, sometimes it's beneficial. Adaptation usually brings us more profound advantages. Okay, adaptation is about being responsible, being flexible. That doesn't mean I can bend and touch my toe flexible. It means flexible in my world, making adjustments that are suited to the new circumstance I'm in. It's a process that helps you thrive, not just survive. Adapting helps us thrive in our environment, not just survive. I can take an alligator out of the water, he'll survive on land. He won't necessarily thrive on land unless he makes some adaptations. Okay. So, why is adaptation better than change? Because there's specificity that comes with it. It's tailored to specific needs and challenges you're facing, which make it more effective than just change in general. Sustainability. Adaptations are sustainable in the long term because they're finite or they're finely fit and tuned to the situation you need. And more resilience is built because adaptation helps you build resilience by encouraging you to continuously learn and be flexible. Let me give you some tips now to help you as you adapt, whether change is there or not. One, stay aware of the environment. Pay attention to things around you that are changing because awareness is step one. It's key. Isn't that true for everything? Number two, be open to new information. Be willing to learn from new information. It will guide your adaptation. Maybe you're doing something in your health routine and new information comes down that says running is bad for you. It better never say that. That'll be horrible, right? And you need to adapt. You need to make a change. You need to alter something. Okay? It allows you to practice being flexible and create resilience because adaptation will force you to this didn't work, that didn't work, this didn't work until you've adapted correctly. And of course, It will help you achieve those specific goals. Because if you just break your adaptation process down to small goals, you'll be able to see that progress and achieve the transformation. Folks, we are talking about adapting, not changing. Changing is often, as we said, thrust upon you. Adapting is what you do once it's been thrust. Someone needs to hear this lesson. Share this episode with them. And stay with me on the journey through Achieve Your Apex. Until our next episode, keep climbing.